viewers. Well, you join me in Vancouver, Canada, where I'm on the last day of my trip around America and Canada, and I'm absolutely thrilled to be here with Ryan Morse, who some of you will know features toward the end of my book. Ryan's story is actually in the Postscript. So basically, when I was finishing my book, I came to learn about Ryan. Ryan and I have something in common because of our experiences, but also his story really resonated with me, and I feel emphasised how much work the internet is doing in helping to wake people up from the Jehovah's Witness faith. So, thanks for joining me, Ryan.
Yeah, of course.
It's been a really good few days here in Vancouver, and we had a good event, didn't we?
Yeah, that was amazing. 61 people.
Yeah.
It was great.
It was a really good turnout and some really great questions as well. So I'm really pleased that we did that. So I guess it's a case of asking you for your background. How did you come to be involved with Jehovah's Witnesses?
Okay. Well, I was raised a Jehovah's Witness. I was born into it with believing parents. Both of my parents were regular pioneers when I was born. I grew up in Nova Scotia, and basically my whole family on both sides, not on my dad's side, on my mom's side, was fourth generation witness. So the witnesses were all I knew. Right.
And you had, if we can talk about it, you had a tragedy as a child. Are you able to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. Well, my biological father was a witness. He became a witness in his 20s. He was in Bethel for a bit, married my mom, and they pioneered together. And then shortly after I was born, they separated. My dad kind of stopped being a witness. And then when I was about 13 years old, he committed suicide. So that was a really tough thing to go through. And at the time, I didn't really understand why. I didn't understand why he didn't want to be a witness. It was just a very confusing time for me. But, the hope for the paradise was always a big reason why I wanted to be a witness, why I tried so hard, why I wanted to pioneer, things like that.
So you wanted to be reunited with your father again, didn't you? And you felt maybe that your beliefs would give you that opportunity.
Yeah. When you say it now, it sounds so obvious, but back then you don't really think that way.
No.
But yeah, that was the case.
Yeah. Well, I can definitely relate to that.
Yeah.
So you basically came to throw yourself into your beliefs. Tell us a little bit about kind of what privileges you got involved with, and yeah.
Well, once I got baptized at 17, I really started taking it seriously. All my friends were kind of the good witness pioneers. We would always, we would stay away from the witnesses that would be drinking and things like that. We had our own kind of community. I was auxiliary pioneering on and off throughout my teens, and then when I turned 20, I decided I wanted to, really pioneer. So I started regular auxiliary pioneering for a couple of years. Then when I was about 22, I think, I started regular pioneering. Did that for about a year. And throughout that time, I had privileges in the congregation. I had some computer skills, so I was asked to do some, IT things for the society, things like that. I had assembly parts, things like that.
Yeah, so you were kind of quite heavily involved in it, weren't you?
Oh yeah.
But I think it's fair to say, because you moved from a more kind of suburban area into the city of Vancouver.
Yeah, 6 months into pioneering. I just wanted to get out of the suburbs and kind of be with more young people, pioneers, because when I was pioneering in the suburbs, it was a lot of older ones, and I was one of the only people my age that were pioneering. So I thought for my spirituality that I should move into the city and be with other pioneers.
So what effect did that move have on your beliefs, on your spirituality?
It was crazy moving into the city. The hall I moved into, I specifically chose it because they had a need for single brothers. And I went to the hall and everyone was so excited to have a young guy. I was swarmed, love bombed, and everyone was telling me I should move in. So I was so excited. I thought it was going to be the best thing for me. And once I moved, I think my second or third meeting, all of a sudden, all that was gone. And no one really talked to me anymore. I tried to, make friends. I even had the coordinator over for dinner, made him dinner and put a real effort to try to get close to the congregation, but I found it very, very challenging.
Yeah. And but things kind of took on an even more sinister tone when you tried basically to get into pioneer school.
Yes, that was a big story. So about 6 months after I had moved into the city, I was supposed to attend pioneer school in December, and I had been just struggling, with my work schedule. I was so busy. Every single day, getting up early, going to bed late. I had my own apartment, so I had to do everything myself. I didn't have roommates. So around November, I was, getting kind of depressed, and I had gone for coffee with one of my friends that I'd known for years who wasn't a witness. And his family was witnesses, but he had just stopped attending meetings.
And am I right in thinking that he wasn't baptized?
Right, he wasn't baptized.
Yeah.
That's important.
Yeah.
And me and him just hung out, and I told him that I was just kind of struggling and things like that. And he was great. He didn't even tell me anything about the witnesses. He didn't tell me I should give up. He didn't tell me anything like that. He was just supportive. So that was great. I didn't think much of it. And then a couple weeks later, I told one of my close friends in the congregation, that I just went for coffee with this guy. And, he reacted a little strange, but I didn't think much of it. And about 2 weeks later, I got a call while I was at work, and it was one of the elders of my congregation. And he asked me if I could meet them at the Kingdom Hall on Sunday evening just to talk. And I asked if I could ask what it was about, and they said, it's best that we tell you when you get there. So for me, I was, really panicking. I had no idea what it could have been about. I was trying to figure it out. It was really stressful actually that week. Couldn't sleep because it was my whole life, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, once I finally went to that meeting, it was two elders, and they told me that they had heard from a reliable source that I had been associating with a known apostate. And at the time I was saying what, my friend, he's not an apostate. And they're like, well, we heard from a reliable source that he is.
And furthermore, he couldn't be an apostate because he's never got baptized.
Right. Yeah, I think I even mentioned that to them.
Yeah.
Crazy. And, they were just asking me how I was doing. And, at the time I thought honesty was the best, just be completely open with them. So I remember even confiding in them, telling them that, I've been struggling a bit with depression and it's been challenging moving in. And, their reaction was, they got very awkward. And I remember when I was telling them about my depression, they gave me a handout, and it was for just to put on the spiritual suit of armor and telling me I need to have the shield of faith and things like that, which at the time I thought was silly in itself. There was no real advice. So after that meeting, they told me that they want to meet with me again in a month to see if I haven't associated with that guy again. And I said, okay, I won't, because I didn't want to jeopardize, my situation. So things happened in that month, and finally I met with them in early December, I think it was. And they told me, we've reviewed your case, we've looked at it, and, based on the facts, we decided that your punishment is to not attend Pioneer School. And they said, you can keep pioneering and you can reapply next year, but, you're disqualified this year. So I tried to have a good attitude about it at the time. I was saying like, okay, I'll just try harder. But I remember I was walking home from the Kingdom Hall and it was snowing and I was crying. Just
they hadn't arranged a lift for you either. You were
that was another thing.
Yeah.
In the city, it was tough to get around. The elders wouldn't offer to pick me up or anything, so I was kind of just had to take a couple buses to get to the hall on a Sunday evening. Which is crazy to me now.
So wow, punished for speaking to somebody who is unbaptized and who just simply wasn't sufficiently strong in the truth. I think, obviously folks can read the whole story in the Postscript, but things kind of got worse from there, and it's safe to say that your elders' behaviour just became more and more draconian.
Absolutely.
At what point did the penny drop and did you realise this can't be the truth?
Well, it was a few months after that. That was in December, was when I couldn't go to Pioneer School. And my very last meeting was the memorial in April.
Right.
And I had been, just trying at that point. I said, I'm just going to study extra hard. I'm going to double down. I need to do the text every morning. I need to read the Bible. And I just felt like something was wrong with me. So I really doubled down those first few months of the year. But in April, I just found it so challenging. I was getting burnt out. It was just a tough time, and I remember I was having doubts as well, just about little things I had been thinking about. And during the memorial, I remember it was the same elder that had talked to me and confronted me. He was giving the talk, and his talk was all about how, it wasn't all about, but one part was about how, he was talking to all the inactive ones at the memorial, and he was saying that, think of your children, how important it is to come here because Armageddon is so soon and it's so important to be here. And, to me, it just felt like fear-mongering. It was like they were trying to scare people into going, and I just felt no warmth at all. And I had known that elder and seen this other side of him, in those elders meetings, being very vicious and kind of interrogating me. So to see him display this kind of fake warmth at the hall, it just felt like so dishonest to me, and I could kind of see right through it, if you know what I mean. So it was after the memorial that I believe it was a Thursday night, that when I came home, I just felt like I don't know if I could do this anymore. And at that point, I still hadn't really done any research. But that was my last meeting, was the memorial.
You mentioned about depression. Obviously, depression is a very complicated thing and it can manifest itself in different ways. Do you think that this whole process was difficult for you in that regard? Did you kind of, I know I mentioned in the book that there were times when you kind of contemplated taking your life.
Yeah, especially during that time period. After I was disqualified from Pioneer School, and it wasn't just that I was disqualified, it was also the fact it was kind of my reputation. I felt all my friends thought I was going to Pioneer School, and then all these rumors were circulating. I was just getting so burnt out too at work. I was, working overtime, things like that. So I was getting very, very depressed. Trying to pray. I would do hour-long prayers to ask for help, and really wasn't the right tools to help with depression at all.
Well done for coming through it. You know.
Yeah, thanks.
So, what resources helped you to kind of figure things out?
The biggest thing was just getting away from it.
Yeah.
Once you get rid of that pressure, stop having to deal with the meetings and service and everything, that crazy routine, which now I view as like inhuman, that I don't know how anyone could do that.
I think you mentioned that there were some mornings where you just consciously decided, no, I'm not going to go on the ministry, and I'm going to kind of stay in and do some research.
Yeah, that was right after the memorial.
Yeah.
Is I just decided the memorial was on a Thursday, and Saturday morning, the memorial was on a Friday night.
Yeah.
And I remember at the memorial, it was about, I had gotten off work at 6:30 p.m. and I had rushed home, got picked up for the memorial. I think we had to be early to do parking at the memorial. Had to drop people off. I didn't get home till almost midnight, and then had to get up, go service the next day. And I just felt so burnt out. So I just was, so exhausted. I decided to do some research, and I think I had decided to go on the Reddit XGW website, and I'd kind of known about it before, but always too scared to go on. Like I had been on Reddit for years before, but I felt like I just kind of wanted to see what they had to say, and I think that was when I came across this video. It was at the top of Reddit, and it was from a guy named Peter Gregerson, and he had this talk.
I had a prayer that I'd learned from my dad as a little boy. Jehovah, I will follow the truth wherever it leads, whatever the cost. I'd lived with that prayer and my understanding of truth all my life. It had given me courage through lots of tough times. The first time that I can remember was way back as a 10-year-old boy, 5th grade, in a new school, Franklin School in Clinton, Iowa. The teacher demanded that I salute the flag and stood me before our class, and she ridiculed me every day of that year. That was the longest year of my life. So I'd faced some serious issues throughout my life. This one was really serious. I had a big family that I felt a big responsibility for. I had 2 guiding thoughts. First, there is no benefit in self-deception. Truth above all. I might leave, but only if there was absolutely incontrovertible proof. I prayed so many times, Jehovah God, please help me find the truth. And so began my search for truth.
And I remember it was, as a witness, seeing this video, and he was wearing like a suit and tie, and he looked like an elder or something, and was clean cut, so it wasn't as threatening to me.
You were able to justify it.
Yeah, exactly. Like some of the other YouTube videos I would see were, it would scare me, honestly.
Bearded, disheveled, t-shirt wearing, monsters.
Yeah, no offense, but I don't think I would have watched your videos at that point. So I watched, it was an hour long, and I remember he even quoted the Bible, and I was like following along in the Bible with his talk, and by the end of it, I, kind of realized that it's probably true that Jehovah's Witnesses can't be the one true religion, and seeing all the things I went through that year, there were a lot of other things too that happened. That was a big wake-up moment for me. And I think it was right after that video, then I saw pop up on the side or something. It was what if Jehovah's Witnesses are right? It was like an autoplay to that one.
Yeah.
And I thought, like, okay, that's interesting. Like, I wonder what this is, because they obviously are right. So what could this be? So I remember that was your video, of course. So I watched that.
Well, goodness knows I make enough videos about how Jehovah's Witnesses are wrong in certain areas. I thought I'd do a video playing devil's advocate. What if Jehovah's Witnesses are right? What if everything they teach is actually true? Now, this is a very difficult proposition to get your head around, because if everything Jehovah's Witnesses teach is true, then the universe is a very, very messed up place. So basically, the universe has been created just with planet Earth and humans in mind, but not just with planet Earth and humans in mind, but with planet Earth and humans and Jehovah's Witnesses in mind.
And you know, it was a crazy experience watching that. Like, I was so nervous because in my head I was thinking, like, is this like, could I be forfeiting everlasting life by just watching this?
Yeah.
Like, I was so terrified to watch that video. But I watched it and it made so much sense to me. It seemed so crazy that I had never really thought about that point, about how if Jehovah's Witnesses are right, then everyone is going to be murdered at Armageddon, and only the 7 million or so witnesses are going to survive.
Yeah.
It just seemed so evil to me. And I had always kind of felt that witnesses or non-witnesses, if they had a good heart or something, they would survive. So I think I even was using the Watchtower Library and was trying to kind of fact check you, fact check the video, because I thought, like, who's this guy? He could be telling these apostate lies or something. I wanted to prove you wrong.
Sure.
So I did some research, and, you know, the more I researched, the more I realized that you were right. That was the case.
Awkward.
Yeah, and then that kind of was like the eureka moment, saying like, oh, well, maybe all these apostate websites and stuff actually do have the truth, or they do have a point. Yeah. So that kind of opened up the floodgates to me researching. And, you know, for the next week, you know, there were times, I think even after that video, I had just said, okay, this is too much. Like, I need a break. And I don't even think I did any more research that day. It was just too upsetting for me. So it wasn't until the next day that, you know, I did a little more, and then the day after I did a little more research, just to kind of understand what was going on.
Well, what's interesting for me is twofold. First of all, you're describing perfectly what it's like for most people when they wake up. It is a terrifying process, and you don't want to be wrong. You want to be able to prove that someone's lying or twisting the truth in some way, and you're also terrified to even be, as you say, watching the video in the first place. Yes. And what's also interesting is that I can vividly remember recording that video, and it was a very last minute thing. It was someone, I'd seen something on Facebook, and I thought, that's a great idea for a video. I'm going to jump in front of the camera. And there was no kind of planning or anything. It was just, I'm going to bash this video out. And the views that it got because of the title, the kind of playing the devil's advocate, was astonishing. I even ended up doing a follow-up video just a few weeks back, because it is an interesting subject to explore. Let's pursue this. Let's assume that everything's correct, that Jehovah's Witnesses are the one true faith. So I'm just thrilled that it got through to you, you know, and wow, that we're having this conversation, you know.
I know, 2 years later.
Yeah, but what's also nice, and I bring this out in my book, is that there were so many. It wasn't just my video. There were in a way lots of people involved in your awakening process. There was Peter Gregerson, who we know was a friend of Raymond Franz. You had people at work helping you. Right. You had your friend who you met with to begin with. He was helping you as well. So there were these kind of different factors at play, and it all helped to contribute towards where we are now. So.
Yeah, exactly.
So what's next for you? I mean, we obviously had this meetup the other day where 61 people turned up. You were telling me that you were inundated with people sending friend requests and trying to. Yeah. Well,
it's really interesting. When I left, you know, it was really hard to find any ex-witnesses in Vancouver. That was the first thing I tried to do. And I decided just to make a Facebook group, and I added the one or two ex-witnesses in Vancouver I knew, and we just had this secret Facebook group, and we would do a couple meetups. And, you know, fast forward 2 years, now we've got, I think, almost 50 members, and, you know, after the event, met over a dozen new people that just joined, and they're excited. So it's great.
We had people turning up who have only just woken up in the last few months. I think we even had someone turn up who's actually still attending meetings.
Yeah, a couple people like that, a couple guys.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
So I'm just really, really proud of you for, well, first of all, overcoming all of this difficulty that you've had in your life and battling depression and battling suicidal thoughts and getting to where you are now. Yeah. I think that alone is a victory.
Yeah.
But to also kind of extend a helping hand to others in your city is really amazing. So
yeah, thanks.
Well done for doing that.
I've been so much happier since leaving. Like every year just gets better. I'm just more excited. If I could describe in a word how I felt during the witnesses, I just kind of felt hopeless. I remember always feeling that way, and now it's the complete opposite. Like I'm just excited to try new things, excited about the future. So it's great.
And if you had any advice for Jehovah's Witnesses who might have stumbled on this video, what would your advice be?
Just to follow your doubts and to do research. There's nothing to be afraid of, and if you are struggling with depression and those thoughts and like I did, then doing research and maybe taking a break and reevaluating things could be the answer.
Yeah.
That's what happened to me. I tried so many different things to kind of cure my depression. I was, exercising, doing special diets, taking special vitamins, on medications, all these things. I tried everything to fix it.
You were in an isolation tank as well, weren't you, at one point?
Yeah. I was trying everything, and I didn't expect all it was is just the meetings.
Yeah.
To stop doing that, completely cut off from that control and start living authentically is the biggest thing. Because when you have to fake it, for me, I felt at least, when you're at the meetings, you have to be very inauthentic and kind of play a role. And in service, you're always playing a role. And once I could just be myself and be free, never felt happier.
Fantastic. Well, again, congratulations on all of that. Thanks so much for speaking to me.
Yeah,
and thanks for your hospitality as well, and with your mother and all of the arrangements that went in to the Vancouver event. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. I'm glad it turned out.
Brilliant. So hope you've enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to subscribe for more great interviews like this one. And as always, thank you for watching.